rebuild everything you see in here, bar cabinets.
Yeah.
The only thing we didn't do was put the carpet down.
Yeah.
That was about it.
Yeah.
Everything else, she did all the upholstering. But I had people stick their head in the door while we were working here. And, well, I want to see this when it's finished. Jack Romberg, who his uncle owned the building, said this place was going to be for rent if I knew of anybody that would be interested. So I stopped in one day and took a look at it, and I thought, geez, if a guy plushed her up a little bit, I think he'd have a nice little business there. So I took it. She was kind of against it at first, but...
Well, we had sold the finale, and we were out of the business about a year and a half. Well, Phil's very handy, and he does electrical and does carpentry work, and so does the boys. And so I said, oh, we're not having no tavern, we're having a lounge. We were the first lounge outside of a hotel, a motel. Most of all your lounges are always in them. Oh, so I said, well, let's just make one outside. We'll be just fine. So that's how we arrived at the lounge.
I've been coming to the lounge since it opened here, and I've known Phil since probably 1969 or 70, when he owned the Finale down on the other end of town. Our families have been friends for years, generations rather, and so when he opened this up, naturally we all migrated here.
I think I first came to the lounge in the 1980s. I was a student at Loris, and I had some drinking buddies there. The lounge was one of the places we discovered early on and became a favorite just because of the general ambience and the jukebox, of course.
Oh, it's been years now. I came here originally with some friends that went to school here in Dubuque, so they introduced me to the lounge. I've been coming back ever since.
I worked at Five Flags, so it was always a group of us after work, and it was just the camaraderie of the people that I worked with. And then it was Mary was always here, and Carla and Carrie were the bartenders back in the day. It was my after-work hangout.
Over 10 years ago, I started coming here and then started working here shortly thereafter, so 2006, so 10 years. I came in one afternoon just to have a beer, and Mary just asked me if I happened to be looking for a job, and she was just looking for every other Saturday. I said, sign me up. And it was my very first bartending job. I had no experience, which is exactly what she wanted, so it worked out well.
We came here one year for St. Patrick's Day, and that was really great because Mary had made a lot of homemade food. We had some corned beef hash, some regular St. Patrick's Day food. That was one of my very first visits, like my first or second visit, so that was really special. And it doesn't feel like any old bar in any old city. It feels like a really good Dubuque bar.
I've been coming here since I started working here 4 years ago. So my mother-in-law, Carrie Schmid, worked here back in the 80s, and she called me one day and asked me if I wanted to try bartending at the lounge. And I said, sure, I'll give it a shot, and I've been here ever since. The lounge attracts older people and younger crowds as well. And it like mixes and mingles, you know, and you just don't find that here in Dubuque a lot.
I don't know. I think the clientele right now seems to, I was just noticing there seems to be a group of younger people, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think Mary's in large part responsible for that. So she maintains a pretty tight ship. It's got such a, it's almost like a real friendly neighborhood bar atmosphere. It's not corporate. You know, it's kind of grown organically over the years, and it's just a wonderful place.
I just like it because it doesn't look the same as the other bars, you know. And I love the how you go to the ladies' restroom and you've got this little lounge area to sit, you know, before you go in. I love that part of it. It's so oldie, vintage. Like I just love that.
My favorite part of the lounge are the people that hang out here, meeting the travelers and stuff. It's more of a kind of a settled down bar. I mean, you sit around, you talk with people, you get to know people, you meet a lot of interesting people. It's a bar where you can hold conversations with people.
For my 21st birthday, it was a Wednesday night, I believe. and I was originally taken to the casino, and we went in. I put $20 into a machine, and within 5 minutes that $20 was gone, and I was like, forget this, we are going and drinking instead. When you come into town, you drive right down Locust, and you see the big stained glass lounge sign. Let's try that out. The minute I walked into the lounge, you felt like a family here. It wasn't, you weren't coming in and you were just somebody buying a drink. And we sat and talked to, I think it was Carla that night working. We sat and talked to Carla for a couple hours. There was maybe 4 or 5 of us in the bar. You became part of a conversation rather than sit, drink your drink by yourself in the corner. You actually sat there and had a good, engaging conversation.
My favorite thing about coming to the lounge is that it's got a very relaxed, kind of homey feel. There's all kinds of interesting stuff on the walls. There are always interesting characters that you can meet here if you're open to just striking up a conversation with the person sitting next to you at the bar.
The lounge was where I had my very first martini. And I have to say my first reaction was, but I've grown in my taste since college. It's warm, it's welcoming, it's cozy. You feel like you're in somebody's home, and you feel really well taken care of.
It was just a good place to stop and have a cocktail and enjoy the camaraderie and the conversation. I served on the city council in Dubuque from 1982 to 1985, and this was our hangout after the council meeting. We'd have an after the council meeting, have our nightcaps, 3 or 4 of us, depending upon who felt like a cocktail. The table over there was our table. We came in. Mary was always on duty, and she knew what we drank, and she set them up. Yep, that's when we made the real decisions.
Come sit down. What's your specials? Well, we don't have any specials. All right, well, what's a big drink you get? Swamp waters. All right, we'll try those. I had a swamp water, and I was like, this is the place I'm coming back to.
The dirty swamp water is the drink of choice. I always tell people it tastes exactly like a bomb pop. Can't go wrong.
This is great. I want this. It's not too harsh. It's not, this is great.
And so you have to get a dirty swamp. That's their signature drink. Great dirty swamp waters. If you guys haven't had a dirty swamp, the clean swamp's a little too sweet. You have to go with the dirty. It's not quite as sweet.
And I got a good buzz off it, so I'm like, I'm coming back here.
The dirty swamp water was an accident. I was really busy and I was making swamp waters, and the apricot brandy and the blackberry brandy are together. You know, the apricot syrup and the blackberry syrup. Well, I happened to pick up the blackberry, and I was hurrying, so I made this with blackberry. Oh my God! So I asked this young man who I was serving it to. I said, "Would you taste this?" I said, "If you don't like it, I'll make you a regular." I said. And so he tasted it, and he said, "Oh, that's really good. What do you call it?" And I couldn't think. I said, "Well, it's a dirty swamp water." And that's how that came about.
It's a little darker in color because of the blackberry. We serve it like a fruit jar with a handle on it.
But we sell about half and half. And then my granddaughter, who works for us, my great-granddaughter, they said, "Well, can't we get more than just this?" Well, she said, "We'll make you a pitcher." So she started the pitchers. And so we sell pitchers of swamp water too. So that's how that came about. Well, the regular is lime vodka, apricot brandy, and lemonade. And the dirty is the lime vodka, blackberry brandy, and lemonade. That's what's in it. But the portions have to be correct, or you never get the taste of the place. Almost anything, whether you make a cake or whether you make anything, it depends on the portions, how you put them together. They'll always say, "Oh, I suppose you won't tell me." Yeah, I'll tell you what's in it. But put it together. I won't tell you.
have to say my favorite part of the lounge is the jukebox. It's an old school jukebox. You get 5 plays for $1. And, it's unheard of nowadays.
For a long, long time, the jukebox has always been a favorite thing too. There are a lot of great old songs on there. Now that all the bars well, everywhere have digital jukeboxes where you can get just about any song. But people just keep playing the same stupid songs over and over again. I don't need to hear those. But you go and look at that jukebox and you'll see songs you haven't heard in ages. You're like, oh, I forgot all about that song. And so, give me $1, give me $1. We gotta play some of the stuff on this jukebox.
They play the heck out of this. And
Yeah.
we got about, 5,000, 6,000 records?
No, about 1,000 probably, but I keep about.
So she
100
changes
a
them
year.
periodically. But you get 5 for $1, where most of the new ones are like 50, or some of them they tell me are $1 a song.
I hear them come in here and they'll say, wow, 5 for $1. That's really great. And you have to pay $1 for one. And they play them apparently other places, but they come here and they stick the dollars in here like crazy. And we've had about 8 or 9 couples meet and get married. We had 2 get married here right on in the beer garden. One from England and one from here. And there's, like I said, about 8 couples that met here and ended up getting married.
So my favorite thing about the lounge, I met my husband here. I came in with my dad when I first moved back to Dubuque. And I filled in, he played cribbage while he was dying. So I filled in and I met my husband, who is the most wonderful man in the world.
We actually decided to go out together with a mutual friend, my best friend, and his name is also Guy, by the way. So it was 2 guys and a girl. And we ended up going over to Wisconsin, having a few beers, and we ended up here at the lounge. And it was Becky's mother's birthday. And we just had a wonderful time. And one thing led to another, and 27 years later, we're still married.
29.
29. Yeah. 29. See, I keep track of this.
So that was probably 30 years ago then.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
Seems like just yesterday.
And he got kicked out.
Yeah.
He and his friend got kicked out. I don't remember. What'd you do?
Well, we were standing on one of the tables singing our version of Frank Sinatra's I Did It My Way, and the lyric went, I did it sideways. And Mary she would never broker that kind of behavior, so out we went. And Becky, you ended up
I got
here
to
by
stay.
yourself. Yeah. So it was kind of a bad first date, I guess.
Mine kind of comes with a story. My girlfriend persuaded me to come after work one day, and I did not want to come. I was not an after-work bar person. And I came, and she, not knowing to me, she was setting me up sort of to meet someone, and it was this someone. So it was very interesting. That was my first meeting, being set up. It worked out well.
Yeah, we're married now.
We're married
so
now, 8 years, so it worked out well.
I met a girl whose name was Mary, and when we married, her last name became Love. And now I've got my mother, Mary Love, and I got my wife, Mary Love. So I catch from both sides. So
We tried to sell it to somebody else, but they didn't come right out and tell us that they were not going to give another lease out. Nor would they tell us to us that they wouldn't lease to us either. So it just happened to get back to me. And I said to Phil, I said, here we are trying to find people to buy this place, and they're not guaranteeing us to even give them a 2-year lease. And so I said, you know what, let's quit fighting. I said, why don't we just call it quits?
Well, here's another thing. They did us a favor, really. Because I kept saying to her, well, let's go one more year. And, okay. Well, she's 83, I'm going to be 80. And I think it's time to hang it up.
We most definitely, both of us, have agreed that we will miss all the people.
Different ones have asked me, will you miss the place? I says, no. I'll miss the people. I've met a lot of nice people in running this place. But as far as the lounge itself, no. I made a lot of nice friends here, and I'll miss them.
When I found out the lounge was closing, I reached out to Mary to talk to her about it, and then she called me back and asked me if I wanted to guest bartend, and I said I'd absolutely be honored to. I'm thankful to be here. It's been an honor to be behind the bar again, and it's just like riding a bike. You don't really forget.
You know, if you ever decided you wanted to go to the lounge, you're like, hey, let's go to the lounge, and there it was. And to have that taken away, to not have that opportunity anymore, that's a big change. And I feel bad for the people who are regulars who would come here all the time. I feel bad for people like me who would just pop in, you know, every once in a while, over decades, literally. And I especially feel bad for people who are never going to get to experience this because they're not of age to go out to a place like the lounge yet. It's going to be legendary, and they'll never have that opportunity.
That's the closing of a lot of my life. 22 years that I've been coming here. So it involved my dad, it involved my husband, and a bunch of people.
Phil and Mary are great, phenomenal people.
Oh, it's going to be missed. It's an institution. You know, Phil and Mary, their name is loved, but they're loved by everybody.
Just a lot of good fun over the years. Gonna miss a lot of the people because what happens usually is people split off and then you'll run into them later, but not the same group comes to the same place ever. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be kind of different that way. The most I'm gonna miss is Phil and Mary. Cheers to the lounge and all my friends.
Cheers to the lounge.
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 Cheers to the
lounge.
Cheers to the lounge.
Cheers to the lounge.
There's been many memories here, many great times that me, my friends, my family will never forget. Thank you, Mary and Phil.
Cheers to the lounge.
Cheers to the lounge. Gave me a lot of good memories.
I'm going to come back Rizzo in my next life.
I'm gonna come back as a wolf so I can bite everybody in the butt.
It's a good martini.